Okay, so we figured out how to pick a dog and to acquire that dog, and now we're going to start actually training. We want to do things in the order of the most important. Tracking is the most important thing because if you can find someone's lost loved one and bring them home, they're going to remember that forever. And they will always be on your side when it comes to keeping your job. It's also the hardest thing to become consistent at in your entire job as a law enforcement canine handler. So we got to get on it.
There's no easy answer to this question that I have. I guess I could ask it and be what I am. I'm just a man trying to do right. Sometimes it's so hard to see the light. I'm trying to do just like he asked. And to see the world is no easy task.
In situations where the dog is required to use his nose, it's the dog's job to gather the information and the handler's job to interpret that information and use it as needed. Ask yourself, well, how does the dog gather the information? The dog has a unique ability to smell something like pizza in its entirety, while at the same time he's able to smell each ingredient separately. This ability to process is built into the dog, and it's our job to teach him what we want him to process. Now let's explore how we can do this. We need to recognize and learn to control the elements of the track. Weather conditions are vital. They can affect how the dog is tracking and what you're going through. The time of day, early morning, late at night, bright noon, it all makes a difference to the dog. The crushed vegetation, if it's dirt or if it's concrete or if it's really plush grass, can make a difference to the dog. The disturbed earth can make a difference because gas actually rises up out of the earth when you step on it. So it does create a situation that the dog can deal with. Human scent. The human scent is what we're looking for here. All these other things are just part of the track that we don't really want to have to deal with very much. The human scent is the most important thing that we can find. We want to teach the dog to follow the scent of a target individual. This ability will allow us to overcome the scene contamination that we face every time we're called out. And by knowing what we're looking for, we can determine the direction of travel and find things lost by the target individual. How do we accomplish this? First, we must learn to control the elements of the track during training. We're able to control weather conditions by simply choosing what weather conditions are when we train. Training at different times, both day and night, prepares the team for whenever we may get called out. It's the other three elements, crushed vegetation, disturbed earth, and human scent, that present the problem. The ratio in which they're presented to the dog is 35 to 40% crushed vegetation, 35 to 40% disturbed earth, leaving a small percentage of human scent. Since the human scent is what we want to follow, we will amplify it while diminishing the crushed vegetation and disturbed earth. The dog must be able to discriminate among the scents at the scene. We must identify and show him the target scent. A simple way to diminish the crushed vegetation and disturbed earth is to remove it from the training procedure. We do this by laying our tracks on hard surfaces such as concrete, asphalt, and gravel. This diminishes the other scents to almost zero while allowing us to amplify the scent we want the dog to follow. How to amplify the human scent? We do this by liquefying the scent of the target individual and then applying it to the tracking surface so that the dog can use his nose to detect and follow it.
Hi there, Shane Hufsteller, Homer PD. How y'all doing? This is the items you're going to need when you're doing tracking with your dog. Gallon jug of water, spray bottle, Folgers can, just an empty can, some bait, and a good old sweaty t-shirt, preferably if it says that right there on it. Right, Officer Gould with the Haynesville Police Department. Key things here, as far as for tracking goes, you got your gallon water, you got your sweaty t-shirt. put your sweaty t-shirt into the bucket. You're pouring your water on top of the sweaty shirt. Let it soak for a few days. Now once it gets through soaking, that's when you take the sweaty t-shirt back out. You're pouring your water back into your gallon jug. And then that's where your spray bottle comes in. You're pouring your dirty water into your spray bottle, and this is what you use for your track.
I'm Dwight Kilpack. When you go ahead and lay down your track, you're going to want to spray one spray every time your foot would be down.
My name is Sergeant Brian Best of the Harrison County Sheriff's Office in Marshall, Texas, and the question is why would a dog follow a track? There are many reasons, but the two main reasons are to find a suitable mate and to find food.
One way to get the dog to follow the track is to bait the track. Remember, this is just for motivation. It helps him to understand that by following the track, he gets his reward.
When we lay down the footsteps with the water, what we're going to do is just like in grass tracking. We're going to put a piece of bait in each wet spot. And I like to do this about 4 steps, and then I'm going to put a piece of bait in the middle. And what this does is it causes the dog to check each footprint and also in the middle.
There's people out there killing and robbing, sleeping in the streets. There's people starving, stealing our kids, crazies cutting and raping, breaking the law, and always escaping. Just a man trying to do right. Sometimes it's so hard to see the light. I'm trying to do just like he asked. In this evil world, there's no easy task. See it every day on the evening news. Everybody, everywhere, sing the blues.
Now let's check out a little tactical tracking.
Down on your tree. That's your first chance of thinking something was going to change right there.
Okay. I know.
If I had a hanger, I'd take all 3 of you out.
Damn.
Sam, move over to your right some more. Your field of fire is that whole thing, but your major function is watching that side of the. Okay, yeah, exactly. Okay. Again, you don't want to talk. You want to be safe commands. There you go. Fall back to the right. You have him come to him. He'll take a knee. He's down. Take a knee. So one of you's watching that way, and one of you's watching this way. In other words, it's going to be this way. Okay. Get down. If you can get up against a tree, get up against a tree where you can, give yourself some cover a little bit. Track. That just confirms to you that, hey, I'm on it. We know they're going that direction. And you can actually say, okay, look, guys, we're going as far as that one. We're ready. We're going. But use that. And when you go over there, when you're moving, you're doing this, you can go. And show them that, hey, we're going to come back to, with 2 people, it's kind of hard, but move right, left, and then you take her attention while you talking to her, have the dog bark or whatever, and there you're taking it to. Okay. Fire. And if it goes bad, you've got her in crossfire, and you're back here, so you're safe, and if it just turns out to be a runaway, okay?
Pretty clean that way. Go ahead and check if you could.
But you're also looking for the grass. The direction of travel is going to give you an indication which way they walk.
at you for a while. Let me...
Slowly. There you go. As long as you're being nice, she'll be nice to you. Don't worry.
Now we're moving into tracking 2, where we're going to talk about how to lay out the track and run it, and we're going to understand and what we're doing by reading the dog. We're also going to have a little science in this section. As you can see, this dog here is a great tracker. He was a national champion Malinois 2009, but you can look at his face and tell that this type of tracking is new to him, and he gets a little confused. If you watch his head here, he notices that there are other articles besides what he's used to out there. One of them being a toy truck, which simulates the vehicle of someone who has parked and gotten lost, or parked and ran away. And if you watch him, he's used to finding the beginning of the track at a flag, and he overcomes his little bit of confusion, goes to the flag, and starts to track. If you watch him, he is very detailed. We don't put an article out here just because we want to see him track, but if there was something left by the track layer on the track, he would lay down on it and tell the handler in that way that the track layer had dropped something. As he goes on, you can see that he's a very good dog. He's beyond a very good dog. You'll see the point to all of this as he comes up to the end of the track. You see him make a turn. He checks the area to make sure he's turning the right way. His nose is down. He's moving at a good pace. The handler is not running behind the dog. That way, if there is evidence involved, it will be recovered by the dog and the handler. He's just a fantastic dog, and he knows how to do this job. He's been trained correctly. The foundation is there, and all of the things I've said apply within the bounds of Schutzhund, which is the way this dog has been trained. When you start to inject a little bit of real life, what you're going to see is this dog comes up across the grass and towards the concrete. It's like he hits a wall. We know this dog can track, but when it comes to going across the concrete, he's never done it before. It's 35 to 40% crust vegetation, 35 to 40% disturbed earth, with 20 to 30% human scent. Like I said, the dog's not a good dog, he's a great dog. Yet, when what he is familiar with is changed, he becomes confused. You'll see that when we start on the hard surface, the dog has no trouble changing to the soft surfaces. He's learned to pick out the human scent. As you saw earlier, it starts like this. The spray bottle with the track layer scent inside. This is going to amplify the track layer scent. You're going to enhance your steps by spraying each time you step. It's just like tracks in the snow or a way to identify it, but the liquid is actually from the track layer, and it gives the dog something to inhale every time he gets a piece of bait. You're going to mark your turns by laying the flags pointing in the direction of the turn. You do this so that we get a general code, and if you lay someone else a track and they see the flag laying a certain way, they're going to know that that turn is there. You want to mark these markings, especially the end of the track, the same way every time. We use 2 cross flags. On pavement, we lay them down. On soft surfaces, we stand them up, but it still symbolizes the end of the track. Now you're going to turn around and retrace your steps. And you're going to place a piece of bait in each footstep or each wet spot. I like to go 3 or 4 steps and then place a piece of bait in between the wet spots, so the dog is not only checking each footstep, but he's sweeping the area in between, looking for his reward. This is good because you don't want the dog to overlook anything that may be dropped and that could be in between the steps. I use a little toy truck as an object to simulate where the track originated from. I like the toys because they're easy to haul a bunch of them, and you can lay out a bunch of tracks. The gauze has the track layer scent on it also. If you watch and you approach the vehicle with the dog, he becomes curious and picks it up. Now, this same curiosity carries over, especially with a drug dog, to a real vehicle. So you want to lay your gauze out away from the vehicle like we talked about earlier, and approach the gauze, not the vehicle. And this is this dog's early in tracking, and you have to be very patient because he doesn't know what's going on. He is reacting somewhat the way we'd like him to, although I'd like it if he didn't chew up the article. He doesn't know any better, so you have to be very patient in your guidance of the dog. If you get too hard, he's going to shut down and you'll accomplish nothing. You gently help the dog to discover that there's bait. When he reaches down to pick up that bait, he's inhaling the scent of the track layer along with the bait. And you'll see that he starts to touch the flag, which I also laid down there, the scent of the track layer. Patience is one of the biggest things that you can get to accomplish their goal in tracking. And you may have to show him several times the bait, but once he starts to put it together, you'll see that things start to come along in our direction. See him now. You don't want to ruin his mood. Let him be happy. Yes, it can be a pain, and it can be frustrating, but again, that's where that word patience comes in. You see here, as he begins to experiment, success is at hand. He's experimenting. He's put his nose down. He's like, these two things are adding up to give me something to eat, and that is the scent of the track layer along with the bait. A lot of folks like to lay straight tracks and then add corners later. I think if it's done in this manner, there's no reason to do that. Once the dog discovers that the human scent leads to his reward, you can see it adding up in his head, and he now knows if he follows the human scent, he's going to get bait. That was a corner, a right turn. You notice there was no problem there. We make this turn situation more complicated than it actually needs to be. As he completes the track, he gets rewarded with praise along with the self-reward he has already earned throughout the track. Again, this is about 5 or 6 minutes of your time to teach this dog to track. This is a 9-month-old female Malinois who is not leash broke. You did see her in some of the earlier tests, but she has nothing in her head as far as knowledge goes. And if you watch her in the beginning test in the video, you think she's shy, but that's not really the case. There's just nothing in there at this point, education-wise, to tell her what to do. But you see her starting to figure this out. She's smelling the ground. She's looking around. There are trucks pulling up at the park and all kinds of distractions. Another thing is that there are hundreds of people at this park putting their fishing boats in the water. So this pavement is contaminated. This is not pristine. It has scents from all kinds of people on it. See here that she is now correlating the human scent with the bait. She keeps looking up at me, and that's basically asking, what is it that you want me to do? And I keep encouraging her every time she puts her head down. See her starting to experiment here. See how she's sweeping from one footstep to the other. It may be because we haven't taught her to do anything else. She's barely able to walk on the leash, that these other things aren't getting in her way. And she's, again, like I said, 9 months old and has no training. Her concentration on the track is excellent, although she seemed a little shy during the group testing. It was just a lack of knowledge, not shyness. This track shows us if she's shown what to do that she will not only do it, but she will excel at it. This is her first time. Again, everybody tries to make a big deal out of the turn. It's not a big deal. You just put the turn in there. If you do your tracking this way, the dog's going to make the turn. Because any other direction they go, there's no bait. So the combination of the human scent and the reward are not there. And the dog's going to get confused. It's almost like she catches herself. Oh, I'm doing something. Is this okay? And I'm telling her, yeah, it's okay. Keep doing it. You have to learn how to have a conversation with the dog and understand that they may be asking you if it's okay for them to do what they're doing. And you have to encourage them and help them to understand that this is really what I want you to do. For a dog's first time on the track, this is accomplished quite a bit. She understands by following the human scent that she is going to get a reward. And this is something that may take 20 times if you're out there doing a grass track. Everybody's in a hurry. There are no shortcuts in dog training. But if you learn how to do this right, then it does save time in the training process. Again, I can't say this enough times, patience is so important. If you watch as we make these turns and do this track, her concentration is so intense on what she's doing that it's almost like I'm not even there. What she's showing us is her ability to concentrate lasts 30 or 40 seconds, and that can be developed as we continue the training. She's looking around at the truck. She hasn't been out in public much at all. I think this is maybe her third time. So again, she's able to concentrate. She gets back on the track and starts to sweep footstep to footstep. It's really a great example of a first-time dog tracking. And she's a little bit unsure. She's asking if it's okay for her to do this, and of course I'm saying this is all good. If you watch her as she comes up to the end of the track, I'm trying to pet her and praise her, and she's concentrating on the track so hard that it actually scares her a little bit. Once she gets accustomed to what is happening out there, this is going to be a definite advantage for the dog. Here comes the end of the track. I'm going to reach down and try to pet her. And it's like, oh, you interrupted my concentration. Now let's talk about the science, understanding what we're doing. This diagram illustrates the differences in soft surface tracking and hard surface tracking. The brown circle represents disturbed earth, the green circle represents crushed vegetation, and the pink circle represents human scent. The diagram on the left represents scent makeup of a soft surface track. The diagram on the right represents a hard surface track. I want you to notice that the hard surface track and the soft surface track, the human scent circle is the same size, but it's the crushed vegetation and disturbed earth are diminished. This represents a hard surface track using a spray bottle. The lighter color of the larger circle represents the effect of sprayed scent being amplified. As you can see, that human scent almost takes over everything. By teaching the dog in this manner, it's easier for him to pick out the human scent no matter what the surface of the track is laid on. Now that we know a little bit more than we did when we started this and we watched Rock and Terry on this track, you see, he moves forward, he sees the article, he's looking at it, but this is not usually how he does it. Usually the article's on the track and there's no bait with it. You can see there too, he was noticing that the toy truck was out there. He's used to starting his track at a flag, so that is one thing that's familiar with him. And you see how strong a tracking dog he really is. In Schutzhund, the sport he's trained in, they use these little squares of wood, carpet, and leather as articles, and the dog actually gets used to seeing that as the article, and they don't recognize anything else. Here you see him hitting the wall again, and I'm going to show you that section again, because we know this dog is an excellent tracker, but because he doesn't have the coating to go across concrete, he's never done it before, the combination of the scent has changed. Now let's talk about what we know now. This is an excellent tracking dog who's confident and knows how to do his job. All we got to do is add something to his job description. He's been trained to use the scent combination on the left, and now we'll introduce the combination on the right. We will also modify the combination by using the spray bottle, so that it amplifies the human scent. The change is really hard for him to go from soft to hard surface. And in his quest to understand, he searches for any scent. He's just desperate to do his job. His work ethic is really high on this dog, and he is not sure he understands what's going on yet. So he's looking for any kind of scent to get himself back in the swing of things as far as the track. The handler's really patient, and Terry urges him to go on with the track, and now he's back on the track. He's getting little pieces of bait. Watch what happens when he approaches this gun, because he doesn't recognize the gun as an article. He's used to a certain size, shape, and texture that's on the track. Terry helps him to understand that he needs to lay down, and now he's going to give him bait to show him that that is an article. We're changing the way he thinks about what he finds on the track. See him moving on. He's desperate. He doesn't understand why he can't do this, because it's never been done with him like this before. But he's processing the change between the soft surface and the hard surface. And you see him trying to he's searching for the turn just the way he did on the grass. Now he finds the track and he moves on down through there. He is processing the change. He's understanding now that he can track even though it's hard surface. You see him trying to go back to the grass even though the track's not there. It's just because of habit. And we're going to add to his habit, not necessarily change anything about his tracking, except what kind of surface that he tracks on. Now here he comes again at the end of a track in the same area. Notice he doesn't even hesitate. He goes right up across the concrete, and it's because we've added an additional code to the way he tracks. You can see him making this transition. It's really nice. Something else you need to notice is that he is verifying that he's on the right track by smelling the flags, which the track layer laid there. So it has the same scent on the flag as it has had during the track. If we understand the science of what we are doing, it helps us to be patient and achieve our goals. Without understanding and patience, we fall short.